Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
National interest is back to its favorite subject, which is high national politics. Now, if you look at the big picture in national politics today, you will see what? One, that the Chinese have been sitting on a dharna and indulging in dadagiri in sensitive areas of Ladakh for more than 100 days now. This pandemic, the virus has been sweeping India for almost 6 months with all the devastation it's causing. There is no flattening of the curve, and there is massive job losses and all the stuff that we know about. And then this has come on top of 4th year of consecutive decline in economic growth, because as we keep saying, with demonetization, Narendra Modi shot the tires of his own vehicle, and since then India's economic growth has been declining. Now, with all this happening, who are the people who are getting most exasperated? It is actually Narendra Modi's critics, because they are saying people are hurting. If people are hurting, why is Narendra Modi's popularity is not falling? We spoke about it some time back in our Cut the Clutter, that the latest India Today Mood of the Nation opinion poll shows that his ratings are close to 80%, that if there is an election now, he might get more seats than he did in 2019 May. That is, popularity at this point is at its peak, when all of India seems to be suffering with all of this. So why is that happening? Is this has he played some kind of a spell of black magic? You know, these days commando comic channels have been talking about black magic in the case of the death of a film star and his girlfriend, etc., etc. There are dark stories about how people, women of a certain ethnicity, indulge in black magic. I'm joking. So has Modi done some magic on the people of India? Are people of India nuts, or has there been a suspension of disbelief in some way? Now, it's nothing of the sort. That's what we are arguing. That is the way politics is, and that is the way definitely politics has been in India. You ask people now, most of them will say, yes, I am hurting. Even die-hard BJP supporters, Modi supporters will say, yes, I am hurting. But who do you blame for it? That's where you have a problem. What could Modi have done? The Chinese have come in, the Congress had left such a weak military over so many decades. It will take him time to fix it. Number two, what could he have done with the economy? There was so much corruption that the Congress had left. So he had to clear out 70 years of muck. You can't expect big change in so little time. Give him more time, wait. So I'll give him benefit of the doubt. Virus, what could anybody have done? This is not a virus that listens to any leader. At least he tried his best. He declared an early lockdown, risking such a big economic decline because he was trying to save lives. He was well intentioned. Unlike Boris Johnson, Bolsonaro, Donald Trump, he did not make fun of the virus. He did not say this will go away once the summer comes. He did not say it's another flu. He did not say masks don't work. If anything, he's been evangelizing masks and hand washing and social distancing. So what could he have done? So as you hear all this, and as I am recounting all this, I am sure that if you are a Modi detractor, it's getting you even more exasperated. But that is the idea. I am trying to get you exasperated, because before you can deal with a problem, whether it's a sickness, it's financial loss, it's a family crisis, anything, before you can deal with a crisis, you have to first accept the realities of that crisis. Because if you remain in denial, you cannot address any crisis. So first of all, you admit to this. You can obviously say India Today poll is fiction, but even if it's fiction, it can be fiction by 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%. It can't be fiction by 80%. So if you look at all that, and again, if you still have doubts, you can walk on the street, talk to 10 people, not in, I want to do it in my newsroom, don't do it in one of the watering holes of Khan Market, but generally talk to ordinary voters, and you are bound to hear answers like these. So our theory is that ordinary people, what do they do when they fall sick? They go to a hospital, and when they go to a hospital, they trust the doctors. Doctors are the only ones in white coats, they are the only ones with training and education, their hearts are in the right place, they have the answers. If they don't work, they are at least trying their best. That's how people, definitely people of India, look at their leader in times of a crisis. Now lately there's been a lot of advice from pundits on how to defeat Modi or what not to do to defeat Modi. Remove Rahul, replace him with Priyanka. No. Remove all the Gandhis. Find another leader. Who that leader should be, nobody knows. Okay, maybe Congress party should consolidate all the other people who've gone away from it. That is Sharad Pawar, Mamata Banerjee, YS Jagan Mohan Reddy, even the Sangmas of Meghalaya, people like that. Now, first of all, has anybody asked them if they are willing to come back and come back into the fold again? And second, even if they do, who will be the leader? Because that's the reason they had left. So all these things are not going to happen. The other is opposition should unite to defeat Modi. Now that is an old trope. That did not work even in 1971 against Mrs. Gandhi, because people think that in such a situation, when you have unprincipled alliances without a defined leader who has everybody's respect, then it's best to stick with what you have. Then they go with status quo. So 1971 showed us that. So that's not going to work. And also the idea that you can unite these forces, anti-BJP forces in the Hindi heartland, is now, or what we call as the strategy of using caste to divide, what someone else uses religion as kind of Fevicol or adhesive to stick together. That use by date of that is also over. Why? Because if Narendra Modi can lead the Bhumi Pujan at Ayodhya in the presence of his state chief minister, his state governor and the RSS chief, and most political parties, I mean the only political party, only political leader who's willing to speak against it freely and openly and without any qualification is Asaduddin Owaisi, who at his best would be worth 2, 3, 4, 5 seats in parliament. It tells you that that secular, non-secular battle in the heartland has been lost by the earlier secular forces. So you need a new kind of politics in this situation. What that politics can be? Now look at the political map of India. You talk about leadership change in the Congress, get this, get that, get this, get that, etc., etc., etc. But look at the political map of India. Today, of the leaders you have, how many can stand up to Modi in a head-to-head competition in their own states? If I imagine the political map of India, I can see Amrinder Singh in Punjab, although BJP is not his direct rival, their Akalis are, and I can see Mamata Banerjee in the east, that is West Bengal. Although we don't know what will happen this year, but at least she can stand up to Modi. Then you leave out states which are in a class by themselves, that is Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Andhra, Telangana. But there also you see that in Andhra and Telangana, now increasingly those leaders are kind of becoming supplicants of the BJP on the larger national issues of importance to it. So you don't have leaders right now to challenge Narendra Modi. And all the possibilities, when you imagine Mamata, Jagan, Sharad Pawar, blah, 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 everybody coming together, everybody joining hands, a new leader emerging from somewhere, all these make too many assumptions. And when you make too many assumptions, usually that scenario does not come out true, and that is what brings us to the central theme of today's national interest, which is a theory called Occam's razor. Occam spelled OCCAM, Occam's razor. It's also spelled OCKHAM. Now, what is it? I learnt about it sort of fortuitously when I went to the notorious India International Center of Delhi to the lounge after many months, because a friend of mine wanted to meet, and that is the place where we met, and I had the collateral benefit of getting some new wisdom, which was this theory called Occam's razor. Now, what is it? Now, William Ockham was born in 1285 in England. He was a pastor who used this theory. He was not a rationalist. He used this theory actually to justify or to explain divine miracles. And what was the theory? The theory was that if there are two sets of possibilities leading to different conclusions, then the set of possibilities which makes fewer assumptions or which is simpler is more likely to turn out true. That means if you put too many permutations, combinations, leads to analysis paralysis, tod marod ke, you don't come to that conclusion. So that's when wishful thinking and all the rest comes in. So look at any number of possibilities. That plurality should not be posited without necessity. Fewer assumptions you made, the better. So if you then follow that principle and don't make any of these big assumptions about a miraculous leader emerging, this happening, that happening, then you know that Occam's razor tells you that nothing can stop Narendra Modi from coming back to power with a full majority in 2024. Can we change it? Obviously, if you decide that nobody can change it, then what do? If you don't like Narendra Modi, you either put up with it, or if you have a green card or something, you go away, as many people say they will do. But a strong leader like him can be defeated. How such a leader can be defeated? You have to learn from your own political history. India's political history tells you that a truly strong, well-entrenched leader is never defeated by a challenger. Such a leader is defeated by himself or by herself, as in the case of Indira Gandhi in 1977, or then Rajiv Gandhi in 1989, or then with some qualifications, even Atal Bihari Vajpayee in 2004. Everybody thought he was going to win that election quite handsomely, but it was his party's arrogance in advancing that election, declaring victory too soon with India shining, that led to that marginal loss in 2004, and India's history got rewritten. Otherwise, at that point, Atal Bihari Vajpayee was at the peak of his popularity. So you can now either wait and pray that Narendra Modi will defeat himself in 2024, or you have to see what else can you do if you are a detractor or a rival to make that possible. So you need three things. You need a leader, you need a big idea, and you need patience. So the example I use is, it's a bit of a twisted example or not politically correct. That is something that was said by the Afghan Taliban, and before that the Afghan Mujahideen, fighting the superpowers. They fought the Soviets first and they fought the Americans next. They said, if you have the watch, we have the time. What it means is that you may have all this machinery and military and technology, but we know that we can wear you down. You are not there forever. At some point you will tire out and we will win. And that's precisely what has happened there. So you need a leader, you need an idea, and you need enormous patience. Nothing is going to happen like a T20 match. And next, the leader that you have has to have ambition, has to have strength, and has to have the hunger, which so far you've seen no leader of the opposition display, except maybe, as I mentioned earlier, Amrinder Singh in Punjab and Mamata Banerjee in West Bengal. So if you don't do any of that and you are still a detractor of Narendra Modi's, then stay put where you are condemned to live by Occam's razor.